It's the 20th of February, 9:23 a.m. The Old Bailey. Defendant's Antechamber. Welcome back. Well, I never expected this. I'd have thought we'd be back here again so soon. We are on a study tour of Great Britain, with the intention of learning the country's legal practices. In order to research the latest court procedures here, we need as much court experience as possible. Well, yes, I suppose that's true, but the person in the dock, it may well be his or her. One and only time in court. It could be life-changing. In which case, treating it as research may seem a little crass. Oh, when you put it like that, you're quite right. Good morning! Oh. Ah, Mr. Natsume, good morning. Oh dear. Are you alright? Your eyes are terribly bloodshot. The early bird catches the worm, as they say here in Britain. Yes, I've heard that expression. I really don't want to catch a worm. So I tried desperately not to wake up early, but I was so worried I couldn't catch a wink. And now, I'm absolutely exhausted as a result. Do all literary people take things so literally? No. I hope not anyway. Thank you for putting your faith in us today, Mr. Natsume. I wish I had 9 lives. My whole future hangs in the balance. I'm too terrified, too tremble. Really? Because I can feel tremors in the floor. I can't do this. I can't take it. Although, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Yes? I caught a glimpse of that public gallery as I walked by the courtroom. Looked like the opening night of the opera. There were so many people. I had no idea my case was such a notorious affair here in London. Oh, neither did I. Do you know why that might be, Miss Susato? I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but I have no idea. So that all-knowing look on your face is just coincidence then, is it? Don't hide the truth from me. It's because of the Reaper, isn't it? Lord Van Zykes. Is that right, Miss Susato? I purchased as many different newspapers as I could find this morning, and yes. Lord Van Zykes is on the front page of every one. I knew it. Sometime after the prosecutor was dubbed the Reaper of the Bailey. He stopped appearing in court, it seems. It's been several years now, in fact, until the day before yesterday. Yes, Inspector Gregson told us something similar, didn't he? What caused him to come out of hiding? Well, you know what I mean. Not hiding, but, you know. The trial 2 days ago marked Lord Van Zykes' return to the courtroom after a very long hiatus. The trial of Magnus McGilded. What a harrowing experience that was. I believe that appearance made even greater waves here in the capital than today's. But we wouldn't have realized, of course, having only just arrived in the country. Why is the Reaper back in the Bailey so soon? What appears to be a mundane murder? That's the question the papers are asking. And they are speculating various answers. Mundane? Mundane? It's the most significant saga of the century to some of us. Oh dear, I meant no offense, Mr. Natsume. But that is how the papers are describing it. Well, unless we also forget the fact that it could spark an international incident. Obviously, the reappearance of this infamous prosecutor has caught people's attention. But there's another blatant similarity with the trial of 2 days ago. Yes, I agree. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. It's you. Me? Well, I suppose that's true. Of times it is you who stands against the legendary prosecutor. It can only mean that you're friends with the Reaper. Please, I don't rub shoulders with death-bringers. I'm afraid that there's really only one other explanation. It can only be another example, Mr. Naruhodo, of your uncommon bad luck. Thanks for that. Oh, this is just my luck. Why must I be represented by a man with such frail fortune? By the least lucky lawyer alive. Well, let's not forget that it was you, Mr. Natsume, who asked me to represent you. Yes, it's true that I'm just a student, new to London, with little in the way of experience or skills or luck. But I promise you this. I will fight your corner until the bitter end, and I will believe in you, Mr. Natsume. Oh, benevolent locum student, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. You're not alone here with us, Mr. Natsume. Whatever happens, we will always be on your side. Oh, benevolent non-locum assistant Miss Mikotopa Esquires. Esquires? I think that was. Let's have a look. Esquires? I'm not even sure how to say that. I mean, Jesus. I am in your debt forever. I shall never forget this great kindness for as long as I live. Mr. Natsume, counsel for the defense? The court session is about to begin. Kindly make your way into the courtroom at once. Alright then, Mr. Natsume. It's time. Let's go. Yes! Alright then. This is it. My second appearance in a British courtroom. And my second trial against the Reaper. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma. Because this time, I won't let my faith waver. I'll believe in my client to the last. Just like you believed in me. I believe I can do this now. I'm ready for this fight. '20th of February, 10 a.m. in the Old Bailey courtroom. Ooh, got a different... Oh, look who's on the jury. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is fully prepared, my lord. The defense is ready, my lord. The Nipponese are a truly fascinating breed. Sorry, what? Lord Strongheart has told me all about you. That you are a student who arrived in London but 2 days ago, a mere amateur. Do you have a point? Being a compatriot, you feel compelled to try to help the accused, I suppose. Typical Nipponese arrogance. Forgive me, but I do not believe arrogance is an appropriate description. Susato-san. After all, at our previous encounter, the defendant was found to be innocent. Very true. And a most fascinating, if dark, trial it was too. Wasn't that long ago, mate. The tragic conclusion came later, of course. Here's to the acquitted and his unfortunate violent end. Oh my. Again there, like you see on the jury. Someone very familiar. Thank you, counsels. I see both sides are in fine fettle. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are you ready to carry out your duty here in court as impartial members of the public? You never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe in fair play for everyone. Yes, don't you? Well, I must warn you, I'm rather more ruthless than I appear. Chimney? Oh well, not me. What you see is what you get. I'm a peace-loving fellow. I'm afraid to say, I think it's quite possible that mustached foreigner did the deed. I mean, you look very familiar. Come on, what are we waiting for? No doubt he did it anyway. What? Eh? Sorry? Didn't quite catch that. Very well. Let us proceed. Your opening statement, if you please, Lord Van Zykes. And kind of not impartial, like, members of the jury here. Very recently, Great Britain signed an alliance with a rising power in the Far East. The accused in the dock today is a student from that same land, a certain Mr. Soseki Natsume. And while our country has extended this foreign student the warmest of welcomes, regrettably, the kindness has not been returned. In fact, the student is accused of a most sinister act. Just stop wasting it, mate. Jeez. Of plunging a knife into the back of an innocent woman who was doing nothing but walking down the street. A knife crime, I tell you, from bitter experience. Those are the worst. Bloody oath they are. Just look at that sallow complexion and short stature. He's one of those dreadful Japanese. Oh, God. Come on, let's get this over with. Where with me now, everyone? 1, 2, 3. Eh? Hey? I can't catch that. Pray, forgive the discourtesy of smashing my hallowed chalice again, here in this great chamber. Allow me to call the first witness to the stand. Very well. Bailiff, lead the inspector in, please. The inspector. Brought his fish and chips with him, of course. Your name and occupation, please. I'll just put that to my one side. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard. Would you please summarize the events of the case for the court, Inspector? The victim is thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green. I beg your pardon, Inspector. Thought to be? Yes. Having been stabbed in the back by her attacker's knife, the victim fell unconscious. That was 3 days ago now, and she's been comatose ever since. What? So they don't even know who she is for sure? Comatose, I see. But her life is not in danger? Fortunately for the Eastern student, the charge will not be murder. Pray elaborate on the details, Inspector. Sir, I could ask everyone to look at this street map. As I mentioned, the incident took place 3 days ago at around 5 in the afternoon. It happened on the pavement running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for horse-drawn vehicles. It had not long since stopped snowing, as the victim, Miss Green, was walking down the street. Out of the blue, she was approached from behind by the accused and stabbed in the back. Was she now? Luckily, the young lady's life was spared, and she's currently being treated in one of the city's hospitals. But being unconscious as she is, been unable to take a statement from her, of course. This is the case file of everything we know about the victim so far. Thank you, Inspector. The court will accept the documents as evidence, if you please. Case file has been entered into the court record. Alright, we'll have a look at that. What of the weapon that was used? Well, no, hold on here. I want to have a look at this case file. File containing an overview of the case and details about the victim. She was found with a knife in her back and is currently in hospital yet to regain consciousness. Because this is the issue. We didn't get to, actually look at the crime scene itself, which is sort of I can't get a proper hypothesis yet. I've got no real theories. All I know is, really, it's connected to that bookmark. Pretty much all I've got at this point. Incident report. Details: young woman rendered unconscious following a stab wound in the back. Victim: olive green, female, stout build, early 20s. Location: pavement of Briar Road, east side. Reporting officer: Royley Beat. Additional notes: the victim remains unconscious. Her name was gleaned from her personal effects. Other details are unknown. Apart from the single stab wound from the large knife, no other signs of injury were observed. Okay. The assailant was seen running away by the reporting officer and was successfully arrested the following day. Okay. Not much to go on, really, is there? Just thought to myself, wait, what's this? Taking a book receipt, do we actually get to look more at that? Alright. Sure those book titles are going to come in at some point. Again, it's Ace Attorney, it's What of the weapon that was used? Sir, I have that here. It was removed from the victim's back. Switchblade. Ouch. big thing is starting to make me scared to walk down the street now. With a heavy blade like that, almost anybody would have been able to stab the poor woman. Even the scragged-looking Soseki-san, I suppose. A common or garden jackknife, I would say. Rather nondescript. Thank you, Inspector. The court accepts the blade as evidence. The jackknife has been entered into the court record. A large but commonplace folding knife. Found lodged in the victim's back. Now then, what do we know of the motive? Money or valuables, I presume? From what we can tell by looking at the woman's possessions, it seems like she's a poor student herself. Hard to imagine she would have had anything much worth pinching, my lord. I see. Well, in that case, are we looking at some deep-seated resentment toward the victim? I'm afraid I couldn't say. Apart from visiting second-hand bookshops, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, doesn't appear to get out much. At this moment in time, we haven't been able to establish any sort of connection between him and the victim.
Yes!
No! I'd like a question, please. If theft and grievance had been ruled out as the motive, what reason could Mr. Natsume possibly have had for stabbing the young woman? Yet you arrested the man in spite of that, in a totally unjustified and heavily-handed way.
Objection!
Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging a freshly uncorked bottle into the public gallery. But your words have soured its hallowed bouquet. For it is you, my learned friend, who is being heavy-handed here. What? Scotland Yard does not arrest people without good cause. That should be beyond question. Inspector Gregson, the prosecution calls for your formal testimony. Explain to the court precisely why the constabulary came to arrest the Nipponese student. Yes, sir. Oh, a witness testimony, is it? Mr. Natsume's arrest. As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred, and there was an unusually light fog. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else about but the victim and the accused. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. There's been a number of old books he just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems. It was just a matter of working out who the books belonged to, and we found the bloke to arrest him. There's a book mix-up, wasn't there? I think someone got the wrong book. That's gonna be it. It's like the books got mixed up somewhere. Old books, you say? Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime, taken immediately after the incident. It's gonna be like something with the books. Like, that's where the bookmark comes, isn't it? It's like the books are gonna be, like, the wrong person's gonna have the wrong book. And that's why it's gonna be the names of the books that are on this are gonna be the important aspect. Also, we should have a look at the knife. Okay. A bit open. Okay. It's odd that the end is missing. From the looks of it, yeah. Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo, just at the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing. Yeah. Right. Well spotted, Miss Suzuto. What could have happened to it? Yes. You don't think it could still be lodged in the victim, do you? Oh dear. I do hope not. That sounds terribly painful. It's entirely possible, though. It's only really that I spotted on it. There doesn't seem to be anything else going on, like nothing lodged in it or anything like that. It's like, no. Well, it makes sense, just that the tip of it missing, really, isn't it? Okay. I will take that photographic print as evidence, please, Inspector. The crime scene photograph has been entered into the court record. Photograph of the scene taken by a policeman just after the incident occurred. A large knife can be seen thrust into the victim's back. You Nipponese are a spineless breed. Alright, man. Too cowardly to admit defeat. Okay. It's just so weird. So racist. Again, it's like I feel like these books, it's gonna be something, it's the books that are gonna be the indicator in this entire situation. That's what's gonna be going on here. Denying everything despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Well, forgive me, Lord Van Zykes, but the defendant is not denying everything, as you put it. What are you doing, Miss Visitor? Do go on. Mr. Natsume has admitted to playing some part in the incident. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, now that you mention it. When we visited him in prison yesterday, he did tell us what had all happened. As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was. And just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. A green overcoat. Oh, that's exactly what the woman in the print is wearing. Oh my, a photographic print in full colour. What will the world come up with next? The defendant has done nothing more than admit he fled the scene of a terrifying incident. That does not mean that he's guilty of the heinous crime of stabbing the woman in the back. There was nobody else there at the time, just the two of them, the victim and the accused. In other words, there is nobody else who could possibly have stabbed the woman. A fact that the accused concedes. Seems this cross-examination could prove to be pivotal, counsel. Proceed, please. Yes, my lord. Nothing for it. I have to use this cross-examination to turn the tables here. It's our only chance. Okay, so, right. Let's go with the idea of the books, because it's the books, to me, are the thing that stick out. Mr. Natsume's arrest. Because it's like, the only thing we got to go on based on, like, our investigation part was very much finding that bookmark. So, did he say anything about books? I think he did at some point, didn't he? So let's pursue that line of logic. See if it works, though. He's ran off, scaring his belongings, like, maybe that? Because that's where the books come in. Those being a number of old books, he just bought his on the way home from a bookshop, it seems. What did you say next? It was just a matter of working out who the books belonged to. And we found the bloke to arrest him. I think we shall press on anything to do with, like, the belongings and the books. So we'll go here, because that seems appropriate. Mr. Natsume's belongings? I think you'll find it's all there in the photographic print of the crime scene. Yes, the 3 books on the floor. That's right, my lord. Second-hand books, they were irreparably damaged. After falling in the snow, of course. The accused could easily have carried all 3 books in one hand. Which means his other hand would have been free to wield a knife, for example. He's very clever, isn't he? What do you mean? He's made it extremely hard for you to assert that Mr. Natsume had his hands full with his books. He's managed to close the one avenue of escape he might have had before he even knew it was there. You mean to say that the defendant was holding his belongings as he thrust the knife into the woman's back? That must be what happened, my lord. Yes. Okay. Those being a number of old books he just bought. On his way home from a bookshop, it seems. Hold it! The defendant apparently visits a second-hand bookshop on a daily basis. Yes, so I understand. A shop full of old English literature. I commend the accused on the lofty subject matter of his scholarly attention. The bloke's room was stacked floor to ceiling with those musty old books. Can you tell us more about the bookshop in question, please, Inspector? Well, if I must, I'll have to ask you to look at the street map again, I'm afraid. What are you afraid of? Bourbon Books! Closest second-hand bookshop, the accused lodgings, is this place here, Bourbon Books. A little place on the corner of Rye Road and Mishwam Street. Mishwam. As it happens, the accused is currently living in lodgings on the other side of Rye Road at the opposite end. Which means it doesn't take a genius to work out the route he would have taken home. Something like this. The local map's information has been updated in the court record. Yes, I concur with your conclusion, Inspector. The defendant would certainly have passed the scene of the crime on his way home from that particular shop. Mr. Naruhodo, I think that what the inspector just told us could turn out to be of vital importance. Yes, I agree. The most important point that the inspector just made being... It's... I don't know. Well, there we go then. Is it that simple? Because in case if you're wondering what I'm thinking right here, it says right there at the top, your books. Your books. It's like that's the bookshop's name then. Inspector Gregson, may I ask you a favor? What? Would you kindly add the name of the bookshop to your formal testimony, please? Oh, we got you now, mate. I believe it may be of vital importance. Maybe? Oh, well, you know, I mean, yes. It could be a very important clue. Very well. Not that I can see it being of any great significance. But please revise your testimony accordingly, Inspector. Yes, sir, my lord. Whatever you say. Could the name be any more sardonic? Sardonic, you say? He was on his way home from Bourbon Books, a second-hand bookshop he apparently patronizes. So let's see here. I'm trying to remember... Present there. I was pressing history, being like, present! Present! Like, it's not working. There we go. I've got to present it happening. Yes! Objection! There we go, we got there. If I could just stop you there, Inspector Gregson. What is it, sunshine? I'm a busy man, you know. This is a receipt that we found in Mr. Natsume's room. It was issued on the day of the incident and details the purchase of 3 second-hand books. And you found that in the accused's room, did you? Yes, but the point is not where the receipt was found, but the name of the shop printed on it. Go on. This receipt was issued from a bookshop called Your Books. Your Book? Y-O-R-E, I presume. Yes, my lord. So Mr. Natsume did indeed purchase a number of books at a second-hand bookshop that day. However, the bookshop in question was not Bourbon Books. Eh? What? Inspector, do you know of this other bookshop? Yes, sir. Your Books is another second-hand bookshop not far from Bourbon Books. It's just that... Well, it's just a small place. I didn't think the accused would have known about it. Objection! But in fact, that is the bookshop which the defendant visited on the day in question. And this receipt proves it. Objection! Yes, what difference it makes. Whether the man purchases musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis. Depends where the bookshop is, mate. Objection! I disagree. I mean, after all, I have the street matter here, if that might be of help. Let's actually see if we can actually see Your Books on there. Oh, like, it's not on the list, is it? So it's like, I'd like to know where Your Books is. What Your Books be here or something, or or there, or there. But everywhere. Am I? Oh, yes, thank you. But look at this, please. Where is it? Where is it? If the defendant had been returning from Bourbon books... Yeah, it's got the idea, come on. Then yes, he would most certainly have passed the place where Miss Green was attacked. However, if we take into account the fact that he was actually at another bookshop, your books, my books, oh no, your books, it may very well turn out to be he wouldn't have passed that location at all. Could that be true? My, it rather depends on where this other bookshop is, but I do declare it may be a possibility. Is that right, Mr. Loyser? What you just said? Absolutely. It absolutely could be right. Oh my, it's quite unprecedented. Inspector Gregson, where is this Your Books establishment? Well, obviously we looked into that. Turns out that Your Books is just here on the next corner of Mishwam Street going east. Could go either way. The local map's information has been updated in the court record. Like, just at the right distance, really. And there you have it, as you can clearly see now. Oh. My learned Nipponese friend is obviously in training to be a clown, the way he regales us with such witticisms. To your future career in the circus. You put that glass down now, or I'll put it down for you. I, didn't think I needed to spell it out, but here we go. If the accused was coming home from Your Books instead of Bourbon books, it would depend which side the door was on. Because if the door was on the right-hand corner, it would probably be quicker to go down Calabash Road. But if it was at the top, then Mishwam Street and then down Briar Road. And there's no doubt he still would have passed the place where the victim was stabbed. In case if the door's there, then yeah. Yes, thank you, Inspector. It's like, I still feel like the books are the way to go with this, though. Allow me to reiterate for my learned, if somewhat slow Nipponese friend. Stop! What? Wherever the man purchases musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis. It is. I've been to that bookstore. Very nice. As I suspected, you can't fool me, and I don't suggest you try. What I say, eh? Enough of this now. Beg your pardon? Terribly sorry. Would you mind repeating that? Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't give up. What do you mean? If the prosecution's assertion is correct, the members of the jury may very well decide that Mr. Natsume is guilty. Yeah, she's absolutely right. We must think. We must consider the assertion just put forward by the prosecution very, very carefully. They claim Soseki-san must have passed the location of the incident on his way home from Your Books, but, I mean, we're going to raise an objection. Because it is that, just that chance of, like, he could have gone another way. Like, he could have gone down. Maybe not through Calabash Road, but I'm just wondering, could you cut through the buildings? Because clearly you can get to the buildings in the middle of these blocks. But the question is, would he? It's entirely possible. Indeed. But we will find out in the next part. Ta-ta for now.